Hello to our live streaming audience. Thank you for bearing with us, and thank you to everyone who is joining us in the audience today. Again, my name is Kurt Lidke. I'm the Executive Director of Klamath Film, and we just watched our family-friendly short films block. As a reminder, we have microphones here and here if anyone in the audience wants to ask a question. We'll go down in order. This is Morgan Raymond. Morgan made the film Cuber. This is Justin Zimmerman, who made the film Jack the Radio Creatures. Zach Margolis, who made the film we just watched, and Dante Moderato. Nicholas Hill, who made A Happy Distraction, the goat yoga documentary. It should be noted, even though Nick lives in Montana, he grew up in Klamath, hence family and friends are here. So, and Nathaneal Lathrop, who made the film Too Much Chow. And joining us online, Steve, if you can turn on your camera, we'd love to see you. Joining us virtually is Steve Cowden, who made Chocolate Cake and Ice Cream.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to put my camera won't go on for some reason.
Okay. Well, we can at least hear you. So
okay.
Thank you, everyone, for all of your films. I hope that some people have questions, but perhaps we can just go down the line. Morgan, why don't we start with you as far as concept for how you decided to make a film about a competitive Rubik's Cube competitor. Yeah. Lots of people probably didn't even know that was a thing. So.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Well, I made Cuber because I was making a film for a documentary class, and my brother has been doing cubing for the last 6 years. So I just thought it was interesting to explore that. I mean, I don't really think it's that crazy or cool because I've been around it for so long, but hearing people be like, whoa, that's so interesting, it's cool to hear that. But yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, focus on one of the top Oregon Rubik's Cubers, and kind of just, I would love to make another one after this where I have more time and show the whole process of learning how to actually solve one, or how they went about it, but yeah, I like it.
I had one when I was a kid. I never solved it without taking the stickers off and rearranging the stickers on it. So the fact that a kid can do it in 5 seconds flat is incredible.
Yeah, it takes me 5 minutes, but I can do it. So.
Justin, your animated music video, Jack the Radio Creatures, in a comic book style. I know you do a lot of comic book work in addition to being a filmmaker. So how did this project come about with that really cool, it looks very much so in the comic book style, and so you think frozen images, but then you notice there's also subtle movements going on too. It's such a cool animated look.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I split my time between comic and film work, and this was a neat confluence of events where I was actually editing a graphic novel accompaniment to an album by Jack the Radio. George Hodge is the lead singer and the songwriter in the band, and we got along very, very well, and he really liked my film work. And so what we did was we worked simultaneously on developing the comic book stories with a series of animated shots, and hit each of those shots first and foremost, and then actually came back and did the edit after we had figured out organically what was going to work best with each of those artists in each of those kind of moments. So it was a really unique challenge, and we had to do it incredibly quickly, but it's been fun to see it on the big screen throughout the course of the year.
Zach Margolis made the film Dante Moderato. I know you also do a lot of animation work. We talked before with our K through 12 filmmaker did stop motion, and I know that takes forever, but holy cow, nothing compared to how long your film must have taken to create. Where did the concept for doing because it's basically a one shot of slow pan in on a window, but then also echoing travels through time, going from the forest to the city. What was the concept behind that?
I think part of it was I actually had very little time to make this piece. It was a kind of an unofficial commission by the musicians who performed the piece, the Pixis Quartet, who are part of another arts organization in Portland called 45th Parallel Universe, which, just to plug them really quick, they did shows every Friday during the last year pandemic, and they're all they try to get a lot of cool creative energy, so I have to thank them because they're partly responsible for this, ripping this out of me. So, I guess the idea for me was to try to keep one location so that, because I had about a month to make it, which isn't much time when everything you saw in that was animated. So, trying to figure out how to do that in a timely way. Why not just do it in the hallway? You may have noticed in the my intro to it, the wallpaper is the wallpaper from my office. That might have been familiar. So yeah, and then having a window is just a natural way to transition from sort of different kinds of scenes or moods. And I wanted to touch on a lot of the observations I'd made over the course of the year.
Fantastic. Nick Hill, my apologies for our tech issues during your film, but thank you for hanging with us. You live in Montana now, but you grew up here locally.
Correct.
Hence the crowd definitely being on your side during our showcase. I remember hearing about goat yoga, and I was like, okay, this is just the new random trend that's happening, and it'll be gone in a week. But this is clearly something to stay, right? So, at what point did you decide to make a film about, of all things, goat yoga in Oregon? And I'm sure everyone probably heard about it when it was going viral. No one knew it was actually in Oregon,
Right.
where this started.
So it all kind of happened. I was sitting in a meeting with my thesis advisor, just kind of spitballing ideas about things that I could do for my thesis film. Just happened to mention goat yoga, and he stopped me. He's like, "What did you just say?" It's like, goat yoga, it's this thing that started in Oregon. And then he shushed me and pulled out his phone, and I sat in silence for about 2 minutes while he watched goat yoga clips on YouTube. Finally, it's like, so I don't know. He's like, no, this is your film. This is your thesis. Like, but I don't know this person. I don't have contacts with him. No, this is your film. So from there, went and found Lainey, cold emailed her. Took her about a month to get back to me, but gave me a call. She's like, I've been so busy with Sunday Morning, and the New York Times has been here, but I would love to work with you, and I'd love to work with you on this film. And then it's pretty much history from there.
Fantastic. Nathaneal Lathrop, I know your film was a college project. Nathaneal is a student at the Southern Oregon University Digital Cinema Program, which we're very closely affiliated with. They're actually one of our sponsors this year. Thank you, Andrew Gay and the rest of the crew there.
Yeah.
You also had a film in last year's festival with us. So where did the concept for Too Much Chow come from? Because as the first time I saw this, my first thought was 1950s B-movie drive-ins.
Yeah.
When there's the crazy mad scientist that's the MacGuffin to cause aliens attacking or something like that, right?
Yeah. It was, it was inspired by trying to come up with a concept for a class, because this was for a class in the digital cinema major at the school. And we were supposed to throw out a pitch for 3 ideas, and this was one of them. Just that a scientist, is failing at things, and he finally does something right, and then it, comes back and bites him, almost literally. And one of the fun things about this is that I'm not a science nerd at all. So all those lists of failed experiments are totally random things. There's Easter eggs for a lot of things, a little, quotes and stuff. But yeah, I did kind of want to bring back that old, kind of horror movie thriller, black and white-esque aesthetic, while still kind of relating to the quirky, kind of family-friendly little, almost like a Pixar short kind of sort of scene.
Fantastic. And Steve joining us virtually from Portland. Hello, Steve.
Hi.
You may have made the single most adorable film in our entire festival, but it has a fascinating backstory behind how this film came about and the music for it. You want to explain kind of how this film was created?
Yeah, sure. We were celebrating, not celebrating, we were at a celebration of life for my nephew who had passed away unexpectedly. And so my son started playing this really sweet tune on the piano, totally spontaneously. And then my twin brother and I joined in and sang along. And it was totally ridiculous. We sang chocolate cake and ice cream because we had just had chocolate cake and ice cream. And so I think we did it just to kind of like, sort of like help us through this tough time, right? Just kind of being goofy like we do sometimes. And so finished the song, and the song was, I didn't really intend to make a movie, but when the song was done, I liked it so much that I started thinking about these characters, about this cat and this dog. And then that's sort of how the story came about. And I think it's really kind of touched a nerve with people because during the pandemic, just this message of being better together with these two animals, I think it's kind of like, spoken to people. And I think there's a sense of loss in there. It kind of takes you through a big emotional roller coaster, the whole thing. So I think it's kind of spoken to people during the pandemic.
Thank you, Steve. We should note every single one of these filmmakers we have also done an extensive Q&A with in advance and recorded that. So for those of you who have an online pass, so if you have a festival pass, you also get an online pass. And for those of us joining us via live stream, when you watch their film on demand immediately afterwards, there is a very lengthy Q&A. So I apologize that we only have a couple of minutes to talk to you on stage, but you can go back and watch and get the detailed full story of how Steve and Morgan and Justin and Zach and Nick and Nathaneal all made their films. I believe we have an audience question over here.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for making these wonderful shorts and coming here. And I don't have questions. I just have two little comments. One to the goat yoga. I really appreciated it that you interviewed the wonderful woman after COVID began and how she felt and what happened with her business, because that's happened, to thousands and thousands of us around the world, and it's good to hear how they emotionally deal with this really difficult situation. And then Steve, chocolate cake and ice cream. I am so grateful because I do have a chocolate cake doggy and an ice cream kitty sharing my life. And it just really brightened my day, and also that there was a happy ending. So thank you so much for making that for us.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching.
Steve and I talked about that. He could have made that ending very morbid if he'd wanted to. Do we have other questions for our filmmakers? Yes, right over here.
Hi, this is for Nick. So I have a question. It's been a year since you interviewed her. How is goat yoga doing?
So, goat yoga is still kind of on pandemic pause. She and her partner both have immune issues, so they're kind of wary about people coming to their farms. They do have several locations reopening across the country. So she manages satellite locations across the country. She's also started a Goatel offshoot where you can pay to go stay on the farm, hang out with the goats. I think it comes with a bottle of wine and a goat yoga session. And she's opened up one in Texas and one in California. So she's coming at it creatively, but it's like she said, she's tough people, and she's not going to let a little pandemic bring her down.
I should note, for those of you who have been with us through the entire festival, if you were here with us for our Friday street party when we had a beer garden and music and films, I approached a local yoga studio to see if we could have a goat yoga demonstration out on the street during our street festival. And what I was told is that none of the local yoga instructors are goat certified. So we tried as a tie-in with Nick's film to be able to do some goat yoga on Friday, and I apologize, but maybe coming to a town near you at some point, you can try it too. Do we have any final questions for some of our other filmmakers? Like, Morgan, have you ever actually solved a Rubik's Cube? Or
Just once.
just once, okay. Justin, timeline, how long did it take to make that incredible comic book film?
Yeah, I feel like time has completely gotten away from me here in the last couple of years. I can't really recall. It wasn't long, and I think that really helped us creatively because we weren't able to work backwards from an edit. We attacked every shot and then came back and figured out how that would all fit within the song. But the cool thing is that Jack the Radio continues to play. They're working on their next album, and they're still out there going strong. So happy to just be a part of that story.
Zach, your film, did you make it as sort of a commentary on COVID as well? Because I know you were on a very short timeline, but the way that it's showing like the evolution of time in the window, I find really fascinating. Was that an intentional commentary, or am I reading too much into your film?
I mean, I think of it more as observations than commentary. But I mean, it was observations during COVID times, so yeah.
Nick, final thoughts on goat yoga? Have you ever actually done goat yoga?
I have not done goat yoga. I've filmed it.
Right.
I filmed the cancer survivors event and then at one of her studios up in Portland, but I've never done the yoga with the goats. I've hung out with them, all 13 of her goats, but...
You were too busy trying to make sure the goats didn't eat your camera, right?
Yeah, that was a big concern. They were really interested in the microphones and the wires, so trying to keep them away from munching on those was priority number one.
Right. Nathaneal, for your film, did you grow up watching old sci-fi films as an inspiration, or did that just come up as an idea for, hey, let me do like a cool little like 50s tribute to like old B movies?
Yeah. It really came out of nowhere, I think. I did have an idea a long time ago about having, this giant dog house with a dog in there and somebody needing to like sacrifice something to it, which was obviously very different, but I still wanted to keep the same. I still wanted to try the idea of the big dog, and this was another way around working with that.
And Steve, your final thoughts with chocolate cake and ice cream. Had you done a lot of animation work before making this film, or was this kind of your first foray into trying this? And was it a result of, I know it came out of a funeral, but was it also a matter of, like probably a lot of us, COVID hits and all of a sudden we have an abundance of free time that we didn't have before?
Yeah, true. I did work on this stuff during the pandemic, and I did have some free time in the evenings. So definitely that made an impact. Yeah, no, I haven't done that much animation before this, but I've kind of fallen in love with it. I've kind of fallen in love with the characters, so I want to do more with these guys.
Fantastic. Well, I apologize that we don't have more time, but because of our power failure this morning, we're running a little bit behind schedule, so we have to expedite things. But again, we have Q&As with each one of our filmmakers that are available online. So if you have an online pass, anyone who has a festival pass, you get a complimentary online pass. And for our live stream viewers and everyone who is online, also all of our filmmakers, you get an online pass as well, so you can check out everyone else's films. You can go on there, and there are Q&As for every single individual film. So Morgan, Justin, Zach, Nick, Nathaneal, and Steve, thank you so much for being here, and please stick around to the end of the day to find out if you win some awards. So thank you so much. Next up, we have a theme of short films that we are referring to as resilient communities. We thought that this year we would end up with quite a few films about COVID, and we did, but thankfully it wasn't, ultra depressing woe is me stuff. It was about how people are coping and relating to the times and finding ways to adapt and evolve. And we start with a film that is very poignant to the Klamath Basin. Those of you who are here from out of town may not know, but water is a huge issue in this area. We have a huge agriculture industry here, and there are 4 dams built on the Klamath River that are pending removal. And it's been many years in the works of whether or not to remove these dams, and those dams have caused a lot of environmental problems downriver, and it's caused fish die-offs, and it's affecting indigenous tribes downriver, it's affecting food resources, it's affecting endangered species. And so there's currently, here right now, this ongoing fight over dam removal and what sort of environmental impact that's going to have. So our first film, Guardians of the River, is all about that. Then we're going to have a number of documentaries following as part of our Resilient Communities program, and then we will welcome the filmmakers up after that. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I hope you're enjoying the films. And with that, we will move on to Guardians of the River.